the most powerful conqueror in human history, spent his childhood being bullied by his own family. And yet, by the time he died, this abandoned boy ruled an empire so large you could ride for months and never leave it. Genghis Khan's Mongol domain stretched over roughly 9 million square miles. It connected the Pacific Ocean to the edge of Europe. Historians estimate his conquests may have killed tens of millions of people. Some geneticists believe around 16 million men alive today carry his DNA. Not bad for a kid who was left on the steppe to starve. Let's go back to the beginning. Around the year 1162, on the cold grasslands of Mongolia, a boy was born into a minor clan. His name was Temujin. According to legend, he came into the world clutching a clot of blood in his tiny fist, a sign the old stories say that he was destined for war. Take that with a grain of salt. Legends love a good omen after the fact. What we do know is that his early life was miserable. His father, Yasuge, was a local chieftain, not a king, not a warlord, just a man with a horse, a bow, and a bit of standing among the nomads. When Temujin was around 9, Yasuge took him on a journey to arrange a marriage. They found a girl named Borte, and the two families agreed. Temujin would stay with her family until they were old enough to wed. On the ride home, Yasuge stopped to share a meal with a group of Tatars. Big mistake. The Tatars were old enemies of his clan. According to the traditional account, they slipped poison into his food. Yasuge made it back to camp, but he was dying. He sent for his young son. By the time word reached Temujin, his father was gone. Now, here's where it gets brutal. With Yasuge dead, his clan did the math. A widow and a bunch of small children were dead weight. So the clan simply left. They packed up their tents, gathered their animals, and abandoned Temujin's entire family on the open steppe. No protection, no livestock, nothing. For a nomadic people, this was essentially a death sentence. Temujin's mother, a fierce woman named Holin, refused to let her children die. She dug for roots, she caught fish, she gathered wild onions and berries. The family survived on the edge of starvation, scraping food from the frozen ground, while the rest of their people rode off without a second glance. And this is the part nobody tells you. The future emperor of half the world grew up as the poorest, lowest, most disposable person on that steppe. He wasn't a prince biding his time. He was a hungry kid whose neighbors had decided he wasn't worth feeding. Then things got worse. Temujin had a half-brother named Begter. The two boys constantly clashed, mostly over food. And food, when you're starving, is everything. One day, according to the accounts, Begter stole a fish and a bird that Temujin and his full brother had caught. That was the last straw. Temujin and his younger brother Kasar crept up on Begter and shot him dead with their bows. Yes, the great unifier of the Mongols started his career by murdering his own brother over a fish. His mother was horrified. But the message was clear. Temujin would not be pushed around, not by clans, not by family, not by anyone. His enemies noticed. A rival clan, the Taichud, decided this dangerous boy needed to be controlled. They raided the family camp and captured him. Then they did something meant to break him completely. They locked a wooden kangui around his neck. Picture a heavy wooden yoke, like a portable set of stocks, clamped around his throat and pinning his arms. He was made a prisoner, a slave, paraded from tent to tent so different families could guard him in shifts. Let that sink in. The man who would command millions once shuffled around a camp wearing a wooden collar, fed scraps like a dog. But Temujin was patient, and he was clever. One night, during a feast when his guards were drunk, he made his move. He swung the heavy kangu and knocked out the young man watching him, then bolted into the darkness. He hid in a river, lying flat with only his face above the water, the wooden collar still around his neck, while search parties hunted the banks. A sympathetic family found him, and instead of turning him in, they helped him. They hid him, freed him from the kanga, and gave him a horse. One of their sons would become a lifelong companion. That was Temujin's real superpower. Not strength, not even cunning. It was loyalty. People who helped him were rewarded for the rest of their lives. People who betrayed him did not get a second chance. He returned to his family, married Borte as promised, and began building something. Slowly, one friendship at a time. Then came the raid that changed everything. A rival tribe, the Merkits, attacked his camp and kidnapped Borte. Temujin was outnumbered and outgunned. So he did what he would do for the rest of his life. He called in favors. He turned to a powerful chieftain named Togrul. who had been an ally of his late father, and to his childhood blood brother Yamuka. Together they crushed the Merkits and rescued Borte. That rescue put the steppe on notice. This nobody, this ex-slave, could now summon armies. But here's the twist that defines Genghis Khan's whole story. His greatest rival wasn't a foreign king. It was his best friend. Jamuka and Temujin had sworn brotherhood as boys. For years, they were inseparable. But as Temujin's power grew, the two men became rivals for control of the Mongol tribes, and their friendship curdled into war. And Temujin did something radical. In a world where loyalty followed bloodlines, he started promoting men based on skill and loyalty instead of family ties. A commoner who fought bravely could rise to command thousands. A nobleman who betrayed him could lose everything. This shattered the old clan system, and it made ordinary Mongols fanatically devoted to him. The wars for the steppe were long and bloody. Temujin defeated the Tatars, the very people who had poisoned his father, and reportedly killed nearly all the grown men among them. He turned on his old patron Togrul when their alliance collapsed and destroyed him too. And finally, he faced Jamuka. According to the traditional account, when Jamuka was captured and brought before him, Temujin offered his old friend his life. Jamuka refused. He asked for a noble death, execution without spilling his blood, which the Mongols considered honorable. Temujin granted it. By 1206, it was done. The scattered, feuding tribes of the Mongol grasslands, Tatars, Merkits, Naimans, Karites, were united under a single leader for the first time. A great council of the tribes gathered, and they gave Temujin a new title, Genghis Khan, universal ruler, the bullied outcast, the boy in the wooden collar, the fish thief who ate roots to survive. He was now the master of all the Mongols, and he was just getting started. He organized his people into a disciplined war machine, built the fastest communication network the medieval world had ever seen, and turned north and south and west. His armies smashed the mighty Jin dynasty in China. When a Shah in the wealthy Khwarezmian Empire made the mistake of executing Mongol envoys, Genghis unleashed a campaign so devastating that entire cities were wiped from the map. He never learned to read. He never lived in a palace. He died around 1227, and to this day, nobody knows where he's buried. His followers reportedly killed anyone who witnessed the funeral procession to keep the location secret. But think about how it started. Not with an army, not with gold, with a hungry boy on the steppe, abandoned by his own people, who was supposed to die and simply refused to. The clan that left him to starve gambled that he was worthless. It was the worst bet in the history of the steppe. If you enjoy stories about the underdogs who ended up ruling the world, subscribe to Historian Harry, because the next abandoned kid we cover might just be even more dangerous than this one.